Hi, this is Les Carlson, and you're listening to Stand in the Light.
We played that song live once too. I want to say it was a show, maybe the second time we came back to Germany around '09 or something like that. That Mike's been wanting to do that since day one.
A lifelong dream of mine was to do a Lennon-McCartney song.
Michael wanted to do the Word forever. I mean, I'm telling you, this was like late 80s when I remember him going, we should do the Word. But do it in a real, way that it's obviously done for Christian, purpose. And so finally did it.
In the beginning, I misunderstood, but now I've got it, the Word is good.
And we started working through it, and I had kind of a funky disco feel going, and I thought it was cool. But Michael just hated the whole concept. And so when we went in to do it, we got a pretty good bed laid down, thinking what rhythm we wanted to use tempo-wise. And then in the studio, it's like, what are we going to use for a riff that doesn't sound like the Beatles, but still has a cool vibe? So I did a riff which I think is similar to Van Halen's Out of Love, if you're a Van Halen fan. I decided to try to take and modify that and make it into kind of a Van Halen song. So it's Van Halen meets the Beatles. If you think of it that way and listen to it again, it'll probably make more sense. Belongs on like Diver Down.
I guess The Word was another song they did live before I was back in the band.
All right, this is the European cut. This is the one that was, that little extra added single.
I love Van Halen or something. I don't know what it was, but anyway. Very cool tune, very cool to do it. Awesome how Bloodgood can do it and make it a double meaning.
I think there was a couple that we were talking about really early on when I was in the band initially about why can't we take like a song that's maybe wasn't even meant to be a song related to Christ or Christian, with a Christian concept. And so I was thinking kind of like Jesus Is Just All Right by Doobie Brothers. And so, which I think Stryper did recently. You're welcome. I'm just kidding. I had nothing to do with it.
Talking about the word love, and of course we all know that the love of God is incredible.
They were trying to explain to me how they were doing it. And we were doing it this way and trying it this way and let's try this feel.
It's really nerve-wracking to do a Beatles song because they pretty much did all their songs perfect. And every time you hear a remake, there's always some place that somebody falls short vocally or musically, or they get too far away from it, which is sacrilegious. But I think this is Bloodgood does the Beatles, and pretty well.
After a while, they were saying, no, it's not sounding right or something. Then all of a sudden, I just started to hammer out this rhythm after, from my own interpretation from what they were telling me.
As Elvis used to say, here's a song that was written by a famous songwriting team called Lennon and McCartney.
And it was like it was taking a totally different direction and began to fall into place.
Well, I mean, it had such a Beatles influence chord progression that, Michael being the consummate Beatles fan had a Lennon Epiphone guitar. He also had the Vox, and we used different things, and we pretty much had a mirrored setup to what they probably would have used if they recorded it back in like Let It Be.
That's when it just took shape, and sometimes you've got to put your own signature on things for it to feel right, for it to sound right.
This song actually spoke about a truth, and this song is talking about the Word. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and the Word became flesh.
I've always thought about the Word. The first time I presented it to Oz, we were down in my man cave again. I says, I'd love to do a Beatles song. We're all Beatle fanatics in Bloodgood.
It was cool. It was very cool. Very nice to do a Beatles song of that caliber and make it work, especially in the vocal area. Doing the background vocals was a lot of fun.
That's a fun song. I think that song should have been on the U.S. release. I really do.
We kind of worked out the rough part of the song. We brought it to rehearsal, and of course Les was into it, and we used it actually for an encore song in Germany for the first time, I think in 2007 or 8.
And so that made it really cool. So to stand in there in the studio playing that Epiphone through a Vox, it just gave you the vibe, and when you listen to it, you can tell. And that wouldn't have been done with the Les Paul through a Mesa, Fender Strat through a Fender amp. I mean, you just can't get that sound.
And you don't have to change the lyrics. It's just, the word is love. So it was just a dream come true for me. Of course, this hasn't been released in the States, but it is on our European release.
You know, I used, what, 3 guitars and Michaels? Yeah, 3 guitars and Michaels, a couple amps, whatever we needed to do. We really took that approach that we can't get the sound with this instrument, we're going to get that instrument. If we can't get this amp to work, we're going to grab the other amp.
I'm thinking of, and the only word is love. It's all fine, it's sunshine, it's the word love.
This is a Beatles song that Bloodgood covered. It's called The Word.
The word. The bird's the word.
And now, here's your host, Paul Doty, with Michael Bloodgood.
Hi, this is Paul Doty, and you are listening to Stand in the Light, the Bloodgood podcast, and we are sitting down with Michael Bloodgood from Bloodgood. How are you tonight, Mike?
Paul, break out the hanky. It's our last podcast for Dangerously Close.
It's the last one. Where do we go from here?
Forward.
Yeah?
Got to go someplace, so might as well go forward.
Will there be a season 2? To tell you the truth, we just don't know.
Yeah, we know. I don't know. We don't.
We don't know.
We're hoofing it.
But what we do know is there would not be a 13th podcast if it weren't for Europe.
Yes.
How's that?
Well, because we did something which is, there's a lot of reasons. There wouldn't have been any podcast because of the band that we covered. This is the first cover song we've ever done. It's off of the Beatles' Rubber Soul. The song's called The Word. And it's been a lifelong dream of mine to professionally record a Beatles song. And this one seemed the most natural because it's a bit obscure. In fact, of all the reviews I've read in Europe, nobody's even made mention that it's a Beatles song because I don't think these guys even knew, these illiterate. I better back that one up. Can you erase the tape on that one? Yeah. These uninformed, that's probably not good either. I'm not sure. But anyway, nobody's even mentioned the fact that and it says on the European release, it says Lennon and McCartney because that's who wrote it. But it is a bit of an obscure song on Rubber Soul. And we didn't have to change the lyrics. Say the word and you'll be free. Say the word and be like me. Say the word I'm thinking of. It's sunshine. It just was a fit, a natural fit. We did it as an encore in Germany the first time, I think in 2007. Of course, I could see by the looks on people's faces, they had no clue. Nobody was nudging each other. Hey, the Beatles! Of course, they were German. They wouldn't have it. It's the Beatles, yeah. But it didn't happen, which to me was even better. And of course, I joke with Les, if people thought that we wrote it, that's cool. They wouldn't think we wrote a Beatles, So we did that. It was the thing when we got distribution in Europe. They insisted that we have a bonus track. So we said, well, okay, we'll take it off the U.S. version. We'll keep it at 12, and we'll make this the bonus version. Of course, we're going to release a new version of Dangerously Close. I'm sure that'll include this one. But it's again, and I say it lumps in with all the podcasts because the reason I got into music was because I saw the Fab Four on the Ed Sullivan Show as a little boy, and that's when I decided I wanted to be a musician. And so it's been a huge catalyst. All of us, especially Les and Oz and Paul and I, are just huge Beatle fans, and it was just a fun, and it gave us a chance because everybody in the band, all 4 of us sing. Kevin sings too, but he did sing on this one. And so we just love the fact that all 4 of us are belting out this chorus. And I remember when David was mastering it, he just goes, "Oh my gosh, you guys, this sounds so good." And in fact, he actually edited the end, so the end actually repeats twice because he just loved how we pulled those harmonies in. And then Paul kind of came up with a rock and riff because we needed to make it metal. We weren't just doing a complete, duplicate cover with a heavy metal guitar solo. So again, something we've never done before. Even in Europe, we kind of separated it from the body of the initial 12 songs. So we, to say, hey, this is kind of a separate fun track for everybody. And I hope people love it because we sure love doing it. And I love playing Paul McCartney bass riffs. And again, I'm smiling. You can't see me, but I'm smiling just talking about it.
Yeah, I got a little quick story on this one. Right before the album came out, I sat down Chris Gray, who was the monitor engineer from the Detonation Tour. He lives in the same town with me, and obviously still follows Bloodgood to this day.
Hey, Chris.
Yeah, hey, Chris. And I sat down, he played the album for him, and at the end of the album, he says, "You know what? That you're right. That's an amazing album." He says, I don't know if I can find anything bad to say about it, except maybe that last song sounds like a Beatles ripoff.
Way to go, Chris.
And I just kind of sat there with the dumb look.
Yeah, those guys, they were they were so copying the Beatles. That shouldn't have been on the record.
Oh, man.
Well, at least he got the gist of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's so odd that there's not a single reviewer that's even figured it out or made mention of that song.
So if you're buying the CD in Europe, then you can get it. Now, what about iTunes? Can you get it through iTunes in the United States?
I don't think so. I do not think so. So again, we're going to probably do a bonus re-release of Dangerously Close, maybe some different artwork, and of course we'll include that cut on there. And I hope everybody enjoys it.
And of course, we'll at the end of this podcast, we'll give you a little bit of that, so you get a good feel for the song.
Oh, good.
But very cool. You didn't change any of the words. You were able to use it as is.
As is. Of course, when we're talking about the Word, we know what the Word is. It's Jesus Christ is the Word made flesh, dwelling among us, which I'm sure John did not have in mind when he was penning the song out. But I just thought it was...
The first John or the second John? So, yeah.
That sounds like a pope.
Yeah.
We're talking about John Lennon, in case somebody really doesn't know what's going on here. But I just thought I feel like we've redeemed the song, and again, it was just an absolute blast to record it and play it live, too.
Yeah, great cover. Now, Bloodgood has done a few covers over the years, not on albums, but live.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, here and there. I mean, we use rock and roll as a sound check at a festival, and so yeah, every now and again something will pop up, but it's not. It's definitely not the norm for us.
No.
Did we do other cover? I don't even remember any other cover songs we ever did.
Yeah, rock and roll was one that came to mind.
Yes, yeah.
The Word. What a great choice.
Paul, it's been great being in all these months of podcasts and dissecting Dangerously Close. It's been fun for me to walk down memory lane and I was thinking about it, how do we wrap this up? First of all, I just want to thank all the fans that we've had. That some of them have been with us since 1984, all the way up to now, all these years later, and the new fans that have come on board. I hope this has been fun for them to listen to. It's been fun for us to record it. Hey, Paul, fun, huh? Come on, Paul. Yeah.
It's been a blast.
I'm very proud of this record. It's one record that in my entire career that I've made that when we wrapped up, I wasn't wishing I could go back and redo anything or redo this or remaster that. I mean, I'm happy with the record. I enjoy listening to it to myself. Generally when you're finished with a record, as soon as you're done, you go, oh, I wish I would have done this. I wish we could go back and redo that. And honestly, this record, I don't have that at all. I really praise God that we nailed it, our first album, and at that point, it's been 22 years since we'd been in the studio. It was a learning curve. We had a lot of ups and downs getting this baby done, but I think it's going to stand the test of time, and I hope people really love the record, and we sure love making it, and hope it blesses people.
And hopefully in the future, who knows, maybe we'll have another Bloodgood album out there and dissect it during another podcast. But until then, from all of us in the Bloodgood family, we encourage you all to stand in the light.
Stand in the light, you guys.
Say the word.
Thank you for listening to Stand in the Light. Visit us online at bloodgoodband.com. Like us on Facebook or Twitter us. Stand in the Light is brought to you by West Coast Sound and Light and Be Good Records. Bloodgood is Michael Bloodgood, Les Carlson, Paul Jackson, Oz Fox, Kevin Whistler, and occasionally David Safiro. Licensing fees have been paid by ASCAP and BMI. I'm Les Carlson, and don't forget to say your prayers.
Yeah, cool. The Word. Yeah, the Word. Yeah, I never would have expected to do a Beatles song with such anger.